So recently I stumbled across this video trend on TikTok called boy girl apartments. I don't know if I've been living under a rock because this is totally something that's right up my alley, because it's the entire concept of moving in with your partner and then figuring out how in the heck you're going to decorate your spaces together. And I have actually had people requesting in some of my previous videos of how they can best layer their styles with their partners when they're moving in together. And it's actually not uncommon for me to receive comments here on my YouTube channel where people say, oh, I really love this style, or I'd love to decorate my home in this way, but my partner would simply hate it and would never fly in my home. Now, while I am somebody who genuinely believes that your home should be a reflection of all of the people that live there, if you do find yourself shacked up with a design critic who likes to criticize design but doesn't actually like to provide any input, I kind of feel like tough cookies for you. You don't necessarily get to have a say if all you're going to do is criticize what comes into the home, but you're not actually going to give any feedback on what you'd like to see instead. And along that same wavelength, I feel like there is a certain category of boy where they move in with a girl and they want all of the benefits of a woman living in their space, but they don't want their home to feel girly in any way. And again, I just feel like if you are benefiting from a woman living in your space, you kind of have to have a little bit of give and take with her wanting some femininity in your zones as well. So if your partner falls into one of those categories, I will say this may involve a further discussion amongst yourselves that may not pertain necessarily to this video. But if you overall have a partner who is interested in building a space with you and equally sharing in some of the tasks that come with decorating a home, then these would be a few of my tips or just kind of my commentary when it comes to decorating with somebody else in your home. So just like any other aspect of life where you're collaborating with somebody, be it school or work, when it comes to decorating your home, you always have to have a vision in mind when there's multiple people contributing to the project. So personally, I am married and I have lived with my husband now for almost, I would say, 9 years. So I actually have a lot of practice when it comes to collaborating with your partner in your home. For the longest time, even when I was in school, when I was starting out my career, my husband would not budge when it would come to things that I wanted to put into our home. He has always been very vocal about the items that he likes and the way that he wants his space to feel. And I won't lie, for a while, this kind of felt like a burden in our relationship, but I think the biggest problem that I was missing was not providing a vision for how I wanted our space to look. So personally, I think a great place to start is actually by making a Pinterest board. What I did with my husband was I actually gave him my iPad, I went on Pinterest, and I scrolled through pictures of interiors with him, and I just told him to stop wherever he saw an image of a living room or a bedroom that he liked, and I would save it to a board labeled, Shane's interior design inspiration. From there, I could take his inspiration and kind of meld it with my inspiration and come together with an overall mood board of our two spaces and our two styles kind of mixed together. Another hurdle that is sometimes kind of hard to get over in our home decor is when our hobbies and interests differ so much from our partner's hobbies and interests. For example, if your partner is somebody who is really into anime or cartoons or action figures and pop culture posters. I know for myself, my husband is kind of a jock. He's really into different sports teams and sports memorabilia or like framed jerseys. And that's not to say that it isn't important to incorporate those aspects of what they like. What I will say the major hurdle here is when your partner is making this their entire personality, or when they're bringing their ideas for home decorating to the table and it's essentially just that, like it's just these certain aspects of their personality that your partner kind of wants to dedicate, 50% of your home decor to this kind of hobby or interest. This is where I'll say creating those Pinterest mood boards is the biggest help, because you do kind of have to educate your partner sometimes to say, I appreciate that you have this hobby or this interest, but that doesn't necessarily categorize a home decor style or theme. There needs to be other give and take or other design and decor styles that you're bringing to the table other than this one very specific genre of your life. So beyond just identifying your individual styles, one component that also comes into the mix is your shared furniture collection. Often, if you're just moving in with somebody or if you've lived together for a few years, you usually end up with hand-me-down furniture or heirloom pieces that you didn't necessarily purchase together, but each of you brought them into the relationship. I do think sometimes it is kind of nice when you each have pieces that you're bringing into your shared space together, because this is kind of forcing each of you to kind of accept a piece or two from the other and using that as the building blocks for where you're going to go next. My personal opinion when it comes to mixing any styles in your home is essentially what this is boiling down to is an eclectic space. And I am a huge believer in creating an eclectic home. I often find people trying so hard to focus on one particular style. This is when it gets really tough, when your partner kind of voices their opinion on items they want to include, and it just varies so differently than kind of the concept that you've been thinking about and trying to create in your home. And I also find with an eclectic space, you don't necessarily have to have everything feeling super matchy in your home, because it actually allows you to look at an area of your home like toss cushions, for example. This is a way that you could purchase some toss cushions that you really like, and then your partner could go out and purchase toss cushions that they really like, and these you could mix and match on your sofa or on your bed. The same thing goes if you are trying to decorate your dining room. Maybe this is an area where you are going to purchase the dining room table that you really like, and then your partner is going to purchase chairs that they really like. Another one of my favorites is when it comes to mix and match nightstands. This allows you and your partner to kind of decorate each of your own sides of the bed exactly how you want to, and then you can select a nightstand that actually fits your purposes and your needs. Another really fun item to mix and match in an eclectic space is also table lamps and floor lamps. Often we kind of go down the rabbit hole of only ever having bedside table lamps that are matching, or even like myself in my living room here, having 2 table lamps that match behind your couch. It is kind of nice if this is an area where you can look at your partner and say, hey, I think this room needs 3 table lamps. Why don't you pick out one for your side of the bed? I'll pick out one for my side of the bed. And then together we can find a floor lamp that's going to sit in the back of the room. An eclectic space is just perfect for allowing multiple styles and multiple selections to work together. And it doesn't feel super stiff and staged like you went out and purchased all of your items at one time. Now, when it actually comes down to the nitty-gritty decorating of the space, I cannot stress this enough, but you need to be using shelves. If you are looking around your home and you're trying to figure out the number one place to start when you're trying to infuse your partner's and yours personality into the space, a shelf is just going to be the easiest way to do that, because from there you can divvy up. Half of the shelves are for you to decorate, the other half is for your partner to decorate. A shelf is also where you actually get to display trinkets and pictures, and this is where you kind of allow your personality to unfold in the space. And again, because it's just such a small area, it can feel a lot more digestible than actually going out and purchasing something like your bed or your dining table. Of course, small display areas do not necessarily just have to be shelves. I often find this looks so great on something like a buffet or a credenza, just any piece of furniture where you have a flat ledge. This is where you can come up with really cute design concepts and kind of put together small vignettes that show both your personality as well as your partner's. And by creating these vignettes, I also feel like it allows you to add small pockets of intention in your home decor. For example, I am a big fan of placing vases around your home. This allows your partner to kind of walk around the space and get used to maybe seeing fresh cut flowers in a vase one week, and maybe the next week they're not there. So hey, maybe I should go out and purchase flowers for that vase. space. It just really allows you to kind of communicate to your partner how you like to decorate your home or how you like it to feel. And it kind of shows them that this is an area that you could kind of contribute to each week or each month. And I just think it's a really fun way of connecting with your partner when it comes to your home decor. And while decorating with your partner can kind of feel a little bit stressful and kind of daunting, I will say it's actually a really fun process, and it does kind of allow you to really get to know your partner a little bit more. I also feel like it is a great opportunity to open up kind of date night ideas. I am somebody who is a big thrifter. Basically everything in my home is secondhand. And I personally feel like a fun way of decorating with your partner is actually making a thrifting date where you each get a cart and you walk around the thrift store and fill it up with knickknacks or furniture pieces of items that you like. And then you kind of get to present it or pitch it to your partner in the thrift store. And then you keep what you each like and you take away what each of you has vetoed from each other's carts. And it's just kind of a fun way of shopping together. It just makes it feel a little bit more lighthearted. And especially if you go through a few rounds of thrifting with your partner, it may make the conversations a little bit easier when you are going out and purchasing some of these more expensive furniture pieces. I also think bathrooms and kitchens are a great opportunity to kind of mix your style with your partner's. Usually in these spaces, you have a lot of items on display. So for example, in a bathroom, you might have your own perfumes or some of your makeup or hairbrushes on display. And a lot of the time, our partner might just kind of put their items in a medicine cabinet or throw it in a drawer and kind of forget about it. So it is kind of nice if you can make cute little vignettes or cute little areas where your partner could display their hair products or their self-care products. And it just allows them when they walk into that space to feel, kind of pampered and kind of special, the same way we do when we walk in and we see our beautiful perfumes displayed in that way. And the same thing goes for kitchens. I just feel like this is an area where you can have multiple interests going on in that space. So for example, one person might be really into coffee and the other person might be really into wine. This is where you can have a coffee station set up on display, as well as a few of your favorite bottles or glasses that you like to drink your wine out of. And it also might be the case in your home where you don't necessarily have to dedicate 50% to each room. It might be the living room has a little bit more of your flair when it comes to interiors, but your partner might really be into cooking and using the kitchen. So maybe it's a little bit more of their style going on in that space. The same thing for the bathroom. Maybe that's an area where you really like to do your hair and makeup and your partner just really doesn't care if any of their things are on display. You might want to allow them a little bit more creative freedom in something like the living room where they actually might use that space every day. Now, obviously, I am a lover of mixing styles and creating a space that just feels super curated to your personality or the personality of everybody who lives there. I will say one of the fun parts about decorating a space with your partner is the idea that this isn't just like a short-term merger of your styles. This is more of a longer-term concept of how you want your shared home to feel for the rest of your lives. For example, over the years, I've always kept my home feeling very earthy and neutral. This was just kind of something I was doing because I wanted my husband to feel like I wasn't overtaking our space with really frilly stuff or really girly stuff. Even though I was into that style, I just didn't feel like it was necessarily fair that he would live in a home that felt that way. But specifically last year, I really found my style shifting. And I would say this really came from kind of more of my interest in that lived-in aesthetic, that kind of Nancy Meyers-esque home. And when I shared this with my husband and I kind of started showing him some new inspiration images that I was really drawn to, he was very open and receptive to it. So much so that I was explaining to him kind of the concept of a Nancy Meyers home. And him and I actually spent a few weeks and we did a Nancy Meyers marathon where we watched all of the movies that she's directed. And this just just gave him such an appreciation for that type of style. I actually found him pausing the movies at a lot of spots and saying like, oh, I really get what you're saying about this kitchen, or oh, this living room has that exact kind of lived in effect you've been talking about. But by me opening up and kind of sharing my new design perspective shift with him, it's also allowed him to come along on that journey with me and really understand why I'm making some of the changes in my home that I am. And it's things like, even just yesterday, I thrifted this wicker hamper for our living room, and I decorated it all nice with my stack of books, and I put a vase with some flowers in it. And he walked into the living room and he was like, oh my God, I love what you did there. So in the past, I would have felt like this was a little too girly or a little too feminine, but because he really understands who I am and the style that I personally am trying to accomplish in the space, he buys into it. He loves it. He knows that this is what I'm going for. So it really kind of brings him kind of pride and joy that he also can connect with me on that level. Another example of this would be I thrifted kind of the chinoiserie vase of my dreams. This is just a really large vase that I've always wanted to have by our front door, where I could put walking canes and umbrellas in it. And in the past, I would have thought, you know, it's got some pink on it, there's some florals on it, he's probably not going to love it in our home. But in fact, he really likes this vase here because he likes to swing his golf club in our living room. And so it allows him a kind of a cute and tidy spot for him to put his golf club in when he's not swinging it. So at the end of the day, it is just really fun if you can connect with your partner over decorating, because it kind of takes some of the seriousness out of kind of finding the perfect piece that's going to embody both of you. Sometimes you can just go out, you can find something that really speaks to you, and when you actually bring it into your space, because your partner recognizes what you're into, they're able to appreciate it just on the level that it makes you happy, and therefore it makes them happy as well. So those are all my tips and hot takes for when it comes to decorating your space with your partner. Definitely let me know in the comments which one of these tips was your favorite. And of course, if you have some specific requests or needs that you want me to dive into further, let me know there in the comments as well. Of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and do so. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.